Whoa, hey, a little update. We've got a lot of different things going on. 3D printers, well, they're stopped right now, but they've run for about 2 days straight, the little ones and the big ones. In fact, the big printers had to run overnight because it was behind in orders again. Anyways, meantime, our friends in Texas sent us a picture yesterday, and I got to share it with you because it's exciting. To me, it's exciting because there it is. The 1968 Camaro SS. Still don't know what motor's in there. 327, 350, probably the 350s. I'll bet you what's in there, but we don't know until we get it out of there. We're gonna pull the motor anyways. Got to switch transmissions and a lot of other work to do. Obviously, a lot of body work from that picture, as you can see. Now, just to update everything too. The trailer that is sitting on in the picture is not the trailer that's bringing that car here or something. The car simply has been transported to another facility where they'll be switching it to an enclosed trailer. Now, once it's in the enclosed trailer, anytime after that, it can show up here. If you've been following me at all in the last week, we've got some concrete down. I've got a tent here in case everything else fails. And I have ordered a kit building to put up back there, but I don't expect to see that for a couple of months. So if the car gets here too soon, we'll probably have to just go ahead and use the tent, which was backup anyways or whatever at the time. And I don't like the idea of putting it in the tent, but I have to put it somewhere, and I'm not going to leave it outside in the weather. It's already seen enough of that in its lifetime. Yeah. The other thing I saw today, it was at a yard sale this morning, and I just could not decide on what to do. The guy had Chevy 350, early 350, set of long tube headers. And if you're familiar with headers, I've always liked putting headers on my cars or trucks. Yeah. So it's just something you almost like, you do that right after you almost at the dealership after you buy the truck. Oh, heck, let's put headers on it, because I've always seen headers as being a really awesome upgrade for a number of reasons. Really strange things, like first off, you're losing a lot of weight off that engine. Anyway, they're $25, but they're really rusty, and I just like, what do headers cost these days? It's been a long time since I bought a set of headers for a 350. And the long tube headers was like, yeah, that's a plus, because that's what I like. Because you can go down underneath the car with the long tubes, put your mufflers right there, run the rest of your pipe out the back. It's a done deal. It's not really too complicated. Okay, let's stop for a second and just talk about headers. In this case, though, like I said, a long tube. Not all small block Chevy long tube headers are going to fit every Chevy car or truck. You're going to run into some situations, yes, and a lot of people out there, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. Sometimes the tubing is bent a certain way to fit a certain vehicle or car. So one of the problems with these rusted headers this morning was, the guy even said he had something about, he had Pontiacs and Bel Airs or something. Those are all potentially, those are big cars, a lot of space under those hoods. In the good old days, you could actually sit in there and do a tune-up or something on the car. Camaro was a little tighter, and there were certain bends in the tubing you probably need in order to get around things, because it's a little bit tighter box in there where that engine sits in. So, and there was one other thing about the headers that bothered me, and somebody will probably write, maybe they'll remember this or not, but it seemed to me you needed a extra special bracket or something kit with the header if you had like AC or something like that with the car, or it was for the alternator. I cannot quite remember what it was, but there was something going on there where you had like two different headers for that car, and one was with the AC and one was without, or it was a modified alternator bracket that had to be added in there in order to allow you to use those headers from hooker headers, whatever it was. If you don't know what headers are, here, boom, there. We'll show you a picture from, there's the good old Summit Auto Racing or whatever right there from, I think it's Ohio. And they are, anybody can say whatever you want about Summit, but I have found over the years when I order parts from Summit, they are good parts, good quality parts. Even for my Jeep Wrangler, when I got the brake systems out of Summit, the problems resolved themselves, and that was kind of like, well, yeah, was buying from Advanced Auto and O'Reilly's and all that, and the parts were failing, And when I spent that little bit more money at Summit, I got a much better system in. So it was like, you know, this is the sort of mentality that you have to watch sometimes. Like I said, building a budget cruiser like Camaro in this case, just for like little street rodding or whatever, you still have to kind of watch where you do or do not spend money. Obviously, if you buy some cheap seats, you can probably live with it. But if you buy a cheap ignition system and the motor quits in the middle of the street on you, no fun. Yeah, not good. The other thing I'll be looking at is probably the carburetor. There was a nice 4-barrel on there, but it was, again, it's been dried up and sitting around forever, so it would either have to be, I'd have to either sit down and rebuild the carb. I believe it was a 4-barrel, I'm going to say Rochester, I can't even remember, I looked at it, but sometimes it's better to just take that off, throw the Edelbrock, you know, out of the box from Summit or somebody, and just bolt it on and be done with it. Oh, and now of course I'll have to, I'll probably order a brand new aluminum intake for the car, small block Chevy, you know, mid-rise, whatever. Nothing again, nothing too stupid, but just switch out some of the parts under there. Same with the, you know, valve covers. I can dress the motor up a little bit, make it look pretty underneath that hood of that car. She does have the famous Camaro. What did they? Cheese grater hoods. Yeah, those 2 chrome cheese graters up in the hood. Functionally, they just look cool. Yeah, there was no other reason to have those things. I always wanted cowl induction on all my Camaros, and I'll be honest, after being in a Camaro with a really tall cowl induction, it was like, I don't think I want that. I think I'd rather just look at the plain old hood, and I'm a happy guy. I don't need this, you know. It does not feel like I'm driving the space shuttle or something just because it has that cowl hood. I used to like the hood on the old Dodge pickup truck that had the indents in the middle, and you could watch all the rainwater build up. And when you went around corners, the water would, you know, run. I know, weird stuff, whatever. But anyway, I thought I'd share the pictures, update you on where the car is, because once the car gets here, hopefully we'll really be able to, you know, get into it kind of thing. And meantime, 3D printing has been extremely busy. And I saw something really weird, and I'm not quite sure. I've been seeing quite a few cars made, bodies shelled out, made from 3D printing, and then covered with carbon fiber glass, you know, that kind of thing. And I was just thinking, this 68 Camaro needs some major body work and stuff. And I'm just wondering if maybe we can get into the 3D printing a little bit for parts, body parts, whatever, for the car. One of the things I would like to do, I'll probably get in trouble over it somehow, but I would like to 3D print a custom grille with the headlights for the 68 Camaro and totally customize it, but 3D print the grille, yeah. And maybe even the mounting and everything for those headlights. I think, you know, how cool would that be, you know, out of ASA or ABS or something, whatever we can, I don't know, whatever we can use, right? I think that would be cool. Anyways, lots of fun down the road. First thing is we got to get the car here. Second thing, well, first thing is I really need the building and then the car, but the car may show up and the building may not be ready. I've got a tent if worse comes to worse. All right, anyways, that's a quick update this week. Did one, I think we did a show on Monday with 3D about, it's right here. Oh, it's heavy. This is just a mini, or yeah, it's kind of a mini, it's not real small, but it's a mini drafting kit for 3D printing stuff when you're trying to design and functionally build stuff. So I'll put a link in the description below where you can find that thing. It was about $43 I think it was, but it allows you to scale up stuff. What I have problems with is sometimes I'll get a part, and I'll just use a stupid example. But so the reason I wanted this particular one is I get into stuff like, you know, this is like, say, a really bad example, I guess, but say you want to make something round and it's got to have some holes located in the middle of it, like that kind of thing. When I've got the digital calipers out and I'm trying to measure and get all that, you sort of can't do it. But I can put it on this table, this mini miniature drafting table with tools, and the measuring tools will allow me to scope out and see, you know, where this is at and where these holes all line up and what the exact millimeter of the range will be. Then I can put that all into my CAD drawing and then print it, and I'll have a, you know, hopefully have a perfect drawing of it right first time out. Because what's been going on in the past, as I think I gave you a little bit on that last week, or on Monday I think I mentioned it again. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll I'll sketch this out, and and I'll try to get it with the calipers and whatever. And it looks like it's about this much or it's about that much, and I don't get it accurately. And it comes out and it's a little off this way, a little off that way. So you end up having to make 2 and 3 models and check the models, and after from the 3D printer and go, yeah, that's not right. The prototype's still no good. And in one case, a particular product, can't show it to you, it's not here right now. I had to do it for a client. Did it 16 times. I made a PLA prototype, checked it, and it was wrong. There were mistakes, small things, sometimes only a couple of millimeters, but that's enough to destroy what I was trying to do. It had to be right on the money. So this, I'm hoping for the future, is going to make my drawing capability more accurate when I'm trying to get certain measurements, like any features and or hole locations sometimes can be a real bear when you're trying to copy something out and trying to get it correct. Anyway, thanks for watching Copy Tools. Please like, share, subscribe, ring the notice bell. I'm out of here. Over and out.